When we talk about competitions and battling, I wanted to ask you, in its infant stage, when it was starting out, was b-boying always about battling, or was it about dancing? And there's so many battles today in the world. I just want to know if it was ever just about dancing and not having to battle people.
You see, now that's the biggest misconception.
Okay.
On what on what people perceive what it is. First of all, a b-boy, but the real name is called a beat boy.
Okay.
Okay? We were complete dancers. Dancing to us was first and foremost.
Okay.
That means we could step into any scene and adapt to what's going on.
Yeah.
Dancing. If it was a Spanish environment, we were mambo, we were rumba, we were salsa. If we were in a black environment and we're doing a house party, whatever the dance of that moment, we were doing it. We were doing the bumps. We were doing the two steps.
Yeah.
The difference between my generation and today's generation is that we were complete dancers. They're not.
Mm.
Yeah.
You could go to a jam, or you could take them inside of a club, and they won't dance with a girl.
Yeah.
They would dance and hit the floor to any music.
Yeah, definitely.
My generation, that's unheard of. If you're playing a hustling record, a b-boy is gonna hustle.
Yeah.
If you're playing a funk record, a b-boy is gonna do the bump.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We adapted to our environment as it happened. That's what a true b-boy was in my generation. You were practicing hallways, you were practicing abandoned buildings to prepare yourself mentally and physically for a battle if it happens. So when they talk about outside park jams and schoolyard jams, our battles didn't happen there. We partied.
Yeah.
But if there was a crew who came and got down and hit a cipher, once again, it dictates what other b-boys are gonna do.
When did it stop being like that? When did competitions just take over? Like, do you think it was the 80s, or when did having the most moves just overcome the dancing and it just completely got lost? When do you think that happened?
No, it's crazy because I was a part of the infant stage where moves were being developed.
Mm.
And at that time, the dance form and the dancers themselves never left. We were the complete package. Okay? In the 80s, when the media just wanted to capture one aspect of the dance, which was a head spin, a 90, a backspin.
Yeah.
That's what the media wanted. That's what the break dancers gave them.
Yeah.
So the more they get involved into giving what the media wanted, then the context of the dance becomes lost.
Gotcha.
You understand?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
So this is where the misconception happens all over again.
Yeah.
When they say that b-boys died in 1978, 79, that's crazy. Because in 78 or 79 is when you see the next generation coming out.
Yeah.
That's when you see the legs come out and the kennies come out.
Yeah.
You got dynamics that's being established in Queens. You know, you got to remember, a b-boy always creates their own environment regardless for a movement that's happening that would change social environment.
Word.
How do
You
you feel?
understand what I'm saying?
How do you feel about these big
Just
competitions?
because there were rockers in the 70s turned disco dandies in the mid-70s,
Yeah.
it did not take away my generation from still being a part of our environment that was happening in the streets.
Word. How do you feel about these big competitions? These big competitions that offer like a lot of money. A lot of these like huge events, like events that take over a whole city.
Session.
Yeah. Do you feel like this is contributing to the evolution of the b-boy, or has it like kind of like a double-edged sword? Also like killed the whole now b-boys only want to enter if there's money involved now and stuff like that. How do you feel about that?
It's part of the evolution. Yeah. In 1978, I happened to be privileged to be a part of the first b-boy competition ever held. Wow. Because now, in our environment in 1978, it's looked as a dance form now. I was a part of a jam that held a salsa contest, that held a hustling contest, and they held a b-boy contest all at the same time. You understand? It too happened like that underneath salsa and hustling, which was established dances, or dance style that was happening in my generation, and then b-boy to be looked as a dance that you could actually hold competitions to, because now they're starting to notice it as a dance form. Yeah. That's where the evolution really starts to transcend. Wow. But then you also have to look at that same year is when the first b-boy crew battle was established. Okay? Yeah. So the way crew are battling today. You understand? What opened up to the masses was the Lincoln Center battle. Yeah. We set the standard in 1978 on how a crew battle supposed to happen. Okay? What the Rocksteady and Dynamic did in 1981 is they brought that essence out into the masses. What we didn't have in the Bronx that the Manhattan and Queens b-boys had is they had access to the mass media. Gotcha. That allowed that dance form to go beyond their own social environment, because it attracted people who wasn't familiar with something that was happening in their society. There's a lot of things that b-boys are not credited with. B-boys were the first ones to create mixtapes. Yeah. We would take records that everybody owned. You had one guy who owned maybe the original Bongo Rock Band. You had another guy who had a Jimmy Castor. You had a guy who had a James Brown record. Yeah. You had the guy who had the Mexican record. And what we'll do is we will go into a club. We will borrow or take our radios from from your house, get the turntable, get an amplifier, then get a cassette and use the pause button for us to capture what moved us.
Pause tapes. Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
That's the essence of what a mixtape is.
Yeah, definitely.
You let the record play, and when the beat drops that moved us, that's when we will release the pause button, capture that sound, and then hit the pause button back when that sound is no longer there. And then we'll continuously do that. Awesome. And these mixtapes is what we used in our boxes when we went and battled in hallways. That is the epitome of a b-boy battle. Not in jams, but in hallways.
That's fresh. That's dope.
You understand? Now, what I really don't like that's misunderstood is that right now you have these competitions that are giving $15,000, $20,000, $25,000.
Yeah.
And the b-boys become premeditated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That means they practice for 2 weeks, and then they'll see who's listed as their competition.
Yeah.
So they'll go, and while they're practicing, they say, well, if this guy goes out, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if they do this, we're going to throw this routine. That becomes premeditated.
It's not really dancing.
A b-boy, Exactly.
Yeah.
So what happens is it takes away the essence of what b-boys are.
Mm.
You understand?
Yeah.
But then, in that same environment where the competition are being held, they have ciphers
Yeah.
happening. That's the essence of where b-boys really come from, ciphers.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's when the premeditation stops. You understand?
Word.
In my generation, you practice for hours for certain aspects of the dance that you incorporate. Okay,
Yeah.
is what you do when you're practicing. For you to establish certain things to make your repertoire that more phenomenal. But then when you come out of that practice area and you become a part of an environment that's being established through the DJs and the music,
Yeah.
now it becomes spiritual. Now all of the stuff that you're practicing automatically comes out naturally through the way the music moves you now.
Mm.
There's no second guessing now. 90% of the stuff that you practice allows you to be creative on the spot.
Yeah, definitely.
You understand? And now you have an art form being recognized because now it's solidified with a certain structure and foundational movement with vocabulary that allows you to understand the evolution of something that was created out of nothing.
Yeah.
So now it's easier to teach to the masses.
Definitely, yeah.
I use in the 6-step. My label is something a chair freeze. My label is something called a 1990 or a halo or a hollowback. That's the vocabulary that comes with the dance.
How was the Go ahead.
And it's crazy how if you look at this movement or what's considered the hip hop movement, the dance is the only thing that's really considered an art form.
Mm.
Really is, because if you look at all these dance shows, you have guys who don't know who our culture is, that have to go back and study the vocabulary for them to actually critique the dance.
Yeah.
They have to study the dance in order for them to critique and judge to find out who won. That's the essence of an art form.